I don't usually go in for the metaphysical, but I do believe I may have had a past life as this poor guy, Milton Clyde Long Jr., who perished aboard the ill-fated Titanic. There's something about Titanic that grabs everybody.
Yeah, no matter what age.
No matter what age. And each generation, for many, it was James Cameron's 1997 movie, but each generation gets rejuvenated by something, whether it's a movie, a book, and I wanted to have my own sort of take on the Titanic legacy. Even when the ship was discovered by Dr. Ballard, the oceanographer, in 1985, I got through to him on the phone. I'm like some, 20-something-year-old kid. I get through to him on the phone. This is how phones were in those days. And this is Nelson Aspen calling for Dr. Ballard. I'm put on hold. He comes on the line and he goes, "Hello, Milton?" Like,
wait, he called
me Milton. That was the moment I'm like, we got something here.
Wow.
So this is my own sort of version on the story, and I feel like I'm carrying the baton for Milton. He passed away at 29, and my life really began at 29. So we bring Milton into current New York City and the hedonistic life that he never got to lead.
Which you're now living.
Which I'm now remembering.
Right.
Yesterday, just as the earthquake was rolling the ship, we were in the chapel. We were having a memorial service for those who lost their lives and those who were affected by the tragedy. Because getting off the Titanic did not get you a happy ending. It got you a lifetime of survivor's guilt, post-traumatic stress. There really were no happy endings anywhere there, except in the way it's encouraged generations of explorers and artists and tributes, and this is mine.
Nelson, it's the 113th, is it, anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic?
Time flies, doesn't it? It seems like just yesterday, but in my new novel, it is just yesterday because I have a fascination with a certain passenger who passed away on that cold April night in 1912. And in my new novel, Kindred Spirits, a Titanic Tale, he comes back to 2025 New York City, and I help him find his unrequited love. So there's something there for everyone.
Just, casually the man who discovered the Titanic wreck gets a phone call from you and calls you Milton. That's wild.
You can't make this stuff up. And if that's not some otherworldly hand on my shoulder, I don't know what is.
Because there are some adult situations that were going on. Yes, there was probably plenty of sex going on in Titanic, not just the scene with Leo and Kate down in the car underneath, They were grown-ups then too.
Yeah, well, my advice is to lead with that next time.
Well, everyone should go out, grab the book, immerse yourself in all things Titanic.
From the research I was able to do, he had a very unfulfilled and sad life. With all of his privilege, he was sad and unfulfilled. And I thought, maybe he's now here because I certainly am not sad. I am certainly not unfulfilled. And I can give Milton a little bit of fun. And the story is basically an odd couple story. You've got the repressed Edwardian with the flamboyant modern Manhattanite, and they've got to solve a mystery together. So it's history, but it's mystery.
Yes,
and it's naughty.
And it's yes, I know it's naughty.
Naughty.
Yeah, well, you got to have a little naughty.
I'm going to sprinkle her ashes at the armory.
That's a great idea.
Well, it was February. There was snow. I finished work, and I had her in my pocket. I get off the subway at Lincoln Center, and I go to 66th Street, and it's illegal to dump ashes in New York City. Remains. So I thought I'm going to be.
Sir, I had no idea.
Big snowbanks all along 66th Street, and I'm just trying to be discreet, and I'm unscrewing the top, and I go to shake it out, and it was clogged like a ketchup bottle. I had to start doing this to get her out of the bottle, and it all came out one big clump in the snow. And I was so traumatized, I had to go to Nick and Tony's and get a martini after that. Jack described Milton's death. Jack was the better swimmer, so he pushed himself off the deck to make a swim for it, whereas Milton, the poorer swimmer, straddled the railing, which was at an angle as the ship descended, and figured he'd slide his way down the railing till he hit the water and then swim from there. However, as Jack described it, he just kept getting pulled into the black waters. So I created an odd couple situation. You got the repressed, uptight guy, and then you got the flamboyant, extroverted guy, two souls in the same body who have to solve a mystery about what happened to his unrequited love from 1912. And I decided to have fun with our audience and set a great portion of it on board the Titanic with Milton rubbing elbows with the characters that we identify with, the Thayers, the Guggenheims, etc., and make them characters. So we do have fun in the same way that we have fun watching them in Jim Cameron's Titanic. We get to watch these beloved historical characters interact. He wrote a letter that survives that is so unbelievably touching. He wrote a letter to Milton's parents and to let them know how bravely Milton faced the end, how he was not alone at the end. And Jack, who was a very handsome young man, included a photograph of himself to the parents saying, I thought you would like to see who was with your son at the end. And if it wouldn't be much trouble, could you please send me a photograph of Milton? Now, I don't think you need to read between the lines too much to realize that is a love letter.
It really is. And oh God, it was so touching.
I wanted to give Milton a history. He passed away at the age of 29. We don't know a lot about him, so I reimagined a life for him.
Oh, that's so nice. Does it have a happy ending?
It has an ending. But as you know, I mean, if you believe in past lives and the metaphysical, nothing is ever really the end. I mean, we romanticize Titanic in a way we wouldn't romanticize the Challenger explosion or 9/11. There's something about Titanic that touches everyone.
Is this your biggest passion project ever?
Well, this month.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next month. But no, I've always had a lifelong fascination with Titanic, a series of coincidences that has connected me to an obscure passenger. Maybe Hollywood has a part to do with it. There was a silent film star who was a passenger on the Titanic, and as soon as she survived, and as soon as she got home, they made a movie. She wore the clothes she was rescued in, and they made like a short film about her Titanic experience. So from the very beginning, people have been captivated. So you're traveling between time and dimension. I had a hell of a lot of fun with it. And it should be fun for the reader. And there's sex, there's mystery, there's a ghost story, and there's plenty of Titanic. So it ticks a lot of boxes. So it's an odd couple story. It's the repressed, uptight Edwardian, clenched in this world in which he lived, with a free-spirited modern man. And the two of them have to solve a great mystery, almost a ghost story, that involves a lost love in Titanic. And together they do it. The two souls, one body. So that's my story, Kindred Spirits, a Titanic Tale. So I've imagined, what if Milton, after that terrible, terrible night, his life cut short, wakes up, he goes underwater, the next thing he knows, he's in the body of a young man living in Manhattan who is far from repressed, who is far from introverted. And so you've set up this odd couple situation. The surviving member of that couple was so devastated, obviously, the post-traumatic stress you would suffer after an incident like this, but he wrote a letter that survives to Milton's parents to give them comfort about how brave Milton was in his final moments. And it reads almost like a love letter. If you were to read it under today's perspective, you would assume it was a love letter. And he even included a photograph of himself saying to Milton's parents, I thought you would like to see who was with your son at the end. I mean, it makes you want to cry when you think about it. And he asked if Milton's parents could send him in return a photograph of Milton. Now, I'm no psychologist, but to me, that sounds like a very intimate friendship. Milton would have wanted that. Milton was lost at sea, literally and figuratively. And in my story, he would want Jack to go on and live out a full life. And that's what Edwardian men did. They got married and they had children. They're the three most recognizable words in the English language: God, followed by Coca-Cola, followed by Titanic. Everybody has some connection to Titanic. Mine is with the first-class passenger named Milton, who passed away on that fateful night at the age of 29. So I've imagined what his life would be like had he not passed away. And I've created a bit of history with a bit of mystery.
Wow.
And we track down his unrequited love.
Excellent. Well, thank you for my copy. I'll get stuck into it.
It's very naughty. Don't leave it near the children.
It's naughty. It's what, X-rated?
Jackie Collins told me once, she said, anything you write, you have to put a dose of sex in. Because even if people pretend to be offended, they still want to read it.
No, that's fine. I'll take some of that. I'm no prude.
Heartbreaking. I mean, 100 years later, and the Titanic is still luring people to their deaths. And this is the problem with Titanic tourism. We don't need it now. Dr. Robert Ballard, the oceanographer who discovered the wreck in 1985, he said we have enough artificial intelligence now to recreate everything we need. We don't need to put people's lives at risk. People shouldn't be spending millions of dollars to go down there, which is essentially the grave site of 1,500 people.
What's your favorite show that you're watching right now on a streaming service?
Oh, Hacks.
Yeah, very good. If you could own one artifact from the Titanic, what would it be?
I've owned artifacts from the Titanic before, and I think if something can't love you back, let it go. So nothing. I'd love to have something of Milton's.
There you go.
How about that?
Best place you have performed your cabaret show?
The Sydney Opera House.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I mean,
what do you buy more than most people buy?
Gin. Olives? How about olives? Let's go with olives.
Who's the one actor or actress that you haven't had a chance to interview that you'd like to?
Oh, Madonna. She's sort of an actress. Let's go with Madonna.
Absolutely, she certainly is.
And my new historical fantasy, Kindred Spirits, A Titanic Tale, is the story of my personal connection to Titanic passenger Milton Long. It's now available on Amazon, or ask for it at your local bookstore.